Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.
Chairman Amos Nzeyi sharing with us his life story. Last week, he told us his grass to grace story. Born and raised in the hills of what then was called Chigezi, going to a church school and struggling through school fees. Never mind that he also did not have a chance to see his mother, who passed on when he was 3 months old, raised by a single father and later on fending for himself by the help, of course, of his siblings that were much older. And he grows into an astute businessman who, for a moment, he said he was only in employment for 3 years, and the rest, to date, he's never looked back. Welcome to the program once again, Chairman Amos Nzeyi.
Thank you.
Just to reflect on what you told us last week, two things I would love to ask. And this may sound so obvious, but I'm sure you've never regretted going into self-employment.
Self-employment? No, I have no regrets.
That's one. Number two, do you ever regret that you did not proceed with your education?
Where I do, certain extent. Because, you know, when you are not educated properly, you are, I think somehow you're handicapped. You get?
But haven't you found ways of circumventing that handicap?
But having said that, you know, many people don't differentiate academic and practicals. So I may not be highly learned, but I'm very, very highly educated.
Oh, yes. The school
Very
of
highly
life.
educated, no doubt about it. I can say that authoritatively, proudly. You know, my exposure is beyond, you know. I have seen many things, I have learned so many things. I'm highly educated in that area.
But just to bring you back to that level, you said there's a bit of, you feel handicapped. Do you think there is a business opportunity or any opportunity that you think you failed to get because you have limited education?
When I watch people like Professor Mumba delivering a keynote speech, I envy him.
Have you checked his bank balance? Or
I
even
wish.
his pocket?
The bank balance doesn't matter. It's not about money. Money is not everything. Knowledge, in fact, is better than money.
Say that again.
Knowledge is better than money.
This you have taken me through the school of.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Knowledge is money.
What about power and money? When I was coming here to have this conversation
do you
with
think President Museveni is a poor man?
Certainly not.
Huh?
Certainly
He's
not.
not a businessman. But look how he climbed to the level he is now. Do you know his background? Have you read Mustard Seed?
Yes, I have.
You need to read it. Okay, if you have, yes.
Interestingly, he has
Have
sat-
you read Mandela's A Long Walk to Freedom?
Yes, I have.
Very good. You are like me now.
When we were
I
coming
admire those people.
when we were
You
coming
come
here,
from nowhere. A man like President Museveni, I don't think he had stocks of guns somewhere to start a war, but knowledge.
So now let's go back to that journey that then you take. London, your son recovers.
Recovered, yes. He's now an architect. He's the one who designed these houses.
The boy that was given 3
Yes,
months to
he
live
is.
in 19.
He is the project manager for this place, Pineapple Bay.
Wow.
Yeah, he's the one who guides me. We do this. Design is his.
It's an incredible boy. So you return with him. Happy with your family?
No, he
and
started
go back.
there. They started.
Oh, for them,
the whole family started in Britain.
So when you go
I
to
even
that,
had a home, you know.
so you can see
recently.
how you had one problem that opened doors for you. The problem of his sickness, then now ensures that your family is
The education I'm
domiciled.
talking about is by living in Britain. I acquired more education than if I had stayed here or in Kenya.
Absolutely.
Yes, now when I'm driving, I'm different from these drivers in Kampala. I give way to people. You find, you know, I go to some people's homes and I see children jumping over the sofa sets and these people are clapping for them.
Yeah, children are very
When
active.
me, at my home, I beat them. I caned them. I don't allow that. Nobody, you know, was brought up like that, that he prays. First of all, they don't even have, they were not allowed to sit in sitting room unless I'm sitting there or the mother was there.
Unless either of
They had
you,
their own sitting room.
not the one.
Yes, with their TV. When I started, becoming,
The Amos
better.
Nzeyi. So at what point did you come back to Uganda now to start Hot Loaf and these other businesses that we know of you today,
1986.
after the war is ended?
I came here in 1980s there, when the parties, Marit Party elections, and me, I joined the UPM.
Uh-huh.
I
Together-
became a strong supporter of UPM in the Kabale. And again, as if I had not been in exile, on that day of election, I had gathered my friends, this Tom Mujengazi, Christopher Mulengi Nikabale, the late General Sasu was killed by again army, and had bought some goats. Celebrate, I was, confident that UPM would win. And I was arrested, taken to barracks. With all that group, they assembled, they came with one politician. We on gunpoint, quack, AK-47. There were about 6 soldiers, 7. They told us to get in a car, our own cars. We drove to the barracks. In the barracks, we interrogated. Until I saw a gentleman he died, Bitwire. He was there. And I said, you ask that man, he knows me. I'm a supporter of Nzeyi, meaning Obote. He came to me, I said, Bitwire, I shouted. He came and looked at me. He said, Nini, I want to find Nini. He was a businessman in Muchiga. How the fuck could talk, I want to find Didi. They said they are cheating votes, they are supporting Museveni, what. He said, watch out. He was very powerful. He was a rich man in Kabara, and he knew all these officers. So they left us. When I got to one of the people they arrested me with was William Tuyatemba. He had a bar at the junction going to Katuna. So I find a lieutenant whom I bribed a bottle of Johnny Walker. And he escorted me up to Katuna. That night, I crossed to Kigali.
That very night.
You
didn't even eat
My
your
intention
goats?
was to go back like the next day after elections, because I had come to vote and to campaign for UPM, which was my party. So I left again, Kigali, Nairobi, where my home was. So now I came in 86. And one of the businesses I admired when I was living in Britain was bread. Because each every one, I would see him carrying bread home. I started asking myself, these Mzungus, why do they eat bread, and why bread? So I just said, when I go back, of course I was getting feelers from Kampala. There is no bread, it's Elliot from Kenya, which is supplying Kampala. Elliot.
A Kenyan bakery, Elliot,
Yes.
was done supplying bread in Uganda.
Now listen, the production manager for Elliot, his name is Matanu Kadawa. When I came back here in 86, the bakery Hot Loaf was open on 28th of February. Just a month after
You were...
I started baking because I had bought machines actually waiting. I had even transported them, by the way, to Kabari to start baking the Kabari because they had liberated
the Kabari.
That,
from
western
Katonga.
part. So I brought the machines and started baking.
So they had been already in Kabari?
Yes.
So you brought them to Kampala?
Yes, I brought them from Mombasa, Tanzania, Rwanda to so this now I went to Kenya to look for the baker. And I landed on this man who was, production manager. Matanu Kadawa. If you call him now, since 28th of February, he's now in Hot Loaf.
Here in Kampala?
Here in Kampala. From that date, he's up to now. He's
34
he's the CEO
years.
for Hot Loaf.
You
Over 34 years. He's a director and shareholder. I gave him some shares.
So when you're starting a business venture, you choose to get the best to come and work with you. You are not selfish to say, I will do it on my own.
No.
You want to borrow knowledge.
I don't believe in, you know how you buy a calculator to help you in mathematics? Mm-hmm. That's how I employ people. I employ people with better knowledge than mine. Outsource and handpick.
Isn't that putting you at the risk of them outsmarting you in your own business? Some will argue.
Actually, I can say there, I even carried out to a test. Or if you can call maybe a research. I invited, when I was having trouble in this company, Pepsi, I invited Mutebire, Godfrey Tumusime, the former East African Development Bank CEO, Mary Gumisiriza in finance, and John Kiruzu, who was the KPMG head of Uganda. I invited them to this grand hotel when it had just opened. It was a star in Entebbe, Karimuzi Hotel. It was the best hotel in Uganda at that time. I invited them for a weekend to advise me as the people who are knowledgeable in economics. And we put things on the board. We put to the capital, infrastructure, machines, then management. And what came on top was the people.
People.
More important than capital. You get it?
I get you.
And I focused on people. Pay high, very well, but get the best.
They will deliver.
And I'm surviving on that. And that's why I can spend a week without being in the office.
But you know that things are...
I know that behind the business, there are better people than myself.
Wow.
I don't believe in being in office at 7, out at 7. That's not hard work. Actually, that's primitive way of doing work, if I can tell you.
What's the modern way?
The modern way of doing business is delegating. And doing things on your phone. You don't have to be even in the office. You can delegate, you can get things done in the office than being in the office.
Hot loaf. When you started it,
social distance.
It grew in leaps and bounds because bread was a necessity.
Because I was the only baker. Yes.
Now we've seen almost everybody's baking, including myself. I want to start up a little bakery. So in fact, I'm going to get free advisory services from you when the cameras stop rolling.
You know, interestingly, when you said that, when I started the baking, being the only baker at that time, those who are beginners, they started pinching my people.
Yeah. The way you took
snitching.
The way you took the one of Elliot.
Getting people from my bakery. And eventually what I decided to do was now to train massively as many bakers as possible.
For the market?
Yes, I took that on myself and I said, let me facilitate these young men and women. And most of the bakeries now are run by, bakers.
Hot loaf.
Yes, every time I meet someone, I used to work for you. Yeah? Sir, you are my boss. Sir, I worked in your bakery. And I enjoy, listening to that kind of compliments.
When did you now get into Pepsi?
Now that one now.
Before you tell me, I'll tell you a childhood joke. As little children, we always reminisce at a time when a truck carrying bread and cakes would collide with one carrying soda, and we are right there on the scene. As children, you know what that would mean.
It's a feasting.
Exactly. Now here you are with the best bakery in town with all the cakes and pastries, and then you are now diversifying into the beverage, the sweet beverage. That came as a natural partnership, or you also thought about it as a business venture that would go places.
Now, if you can remember, there was shortage of beer. Okay? And the reason sometimes why they would not have production of beer, they would lack the closures, crown corks.
Oh.
The crown, the bottle tops. So again, I saw an opportunity. I said, these machines are available in the world.
Yes.
So I traveled. I wasted a lot of time to travel. I went all over Thailand, Taiwan, Japan, Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, all those Asia. And eventually I came to Italy, then Germany, Britain, Germany. And prices in Asia, Far East, they were like 30% of what I was getting in Europe. But Germany was more expensive again in Europe than this Italy and whatever, and Britain. But then the quality of Germany's were unbeatable.
Unmatched.
And something I could have got at 70% cheap, I opted to go for German 100%.
Wow.
So that made me, so I bought the Crown Cox machines. So I brought them here, I had built buildings for them, and I started manufacturing of crowns.
Prototypes.
Which crowns I started even exporting to Kenya. I became famous because my quality was very good because of those machines. I never compromise, by the way, when it comes to quality.
You don't compromise.
Wait, this construction is finished, and I come back here, maybe December. You'll see the quality of these.
You're giving me ideas on where to spend my Christmas.
Oh, yes. Some of them have been booked, like 3 now.
Wow. We may think of booking the fourth one.
There are now other 3 remaining and book those. So, because of producing good quality, I had the access to supplying all beverage industry, all beverages, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, Uganda breweries, Nairo breweries, all those were buying from me.
Vimto at the time.
All that time they were buying from me. And even in Rwanda breweries, like Burarirwa, beer people, Burarundi, Now, to answer your question is how I got to Pepsi. Isn't that was the question?
For sure.
Now, because I was doing that, I was producing Crown Cokes. The franchise managers of Coca-Cola or Pepsi used to come and inspect the quality. So one man called Ijigo Itimese was a franchise manager for Pepsi. He came to visit my factory to check on the quality, standards and the quality and the production area, how clean it is. He came and he could not believe it. He said, you man, you are beating even South Africa in quality. I said, yes. So he came, he went, I took him for a drink. Then he came second time. Third time, I took him in a Chinese restaurant in a communication house. There was a wind trying it. No, not Fang Fang.
Handy or something?
No. That was an Indian trying to make Chinese. He had a Mzungu wife, a white lady. It was a nut insurance building. I think now owned by Bitaturis and this one opposite NSSF, I think. It was on the second floor or something like that. We were sitting there having dinner, and he told me, but Amos, we are looking for Pepsi bottle, a serious one. Because these people are not buying concentrates, they depend on government subsidies. If government doesn't subsidize, they don't get money to buy sugar, to buy concentrates. So we are looking for a serious bottle. I said, what? I'm ready.
Instantly like that?
Yes, I'm ready.
Is that how quickly you make your business decisions?
I am ready. That was a big opportunity, my friend.
You
had franchise of international company like Pepsi.
You can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong. Because it's a family. You penetrate in that family, you become a family member. Now I'm a family member of Pepsi. And highly respected. Because I think we are number 2 Uganda in the whole world to win last year's the bottle of the year. We were beaten by Colombia. Only one country. We beat Britain, Germany, all these. We are number 2 Uganda. And believe it or not, Uganda, we don't have even expatriates. All are Ugandans.
Local content.
Local content. Thank you. You remember that?
Yes, of course. I can't forget.
Yes. The CEO is a local man from Bushenyi. The finance manager is also a local person.
The marketing people,
the marketing
the
people,
engineers.
the production from north, from eastern, from where.
So when the man
But
said,
highly qualified people, Ugandans.
but when the man said, this is an opportunity, we want a bottler, you said, I am ready.
I'm ready.
And the paperwork started.
Now, I think we were in a restaurant on Friday, and on Monday, I was in New Malta.
Who is this?
In Britain, in Office Peps, headquarters for Europe and Sub-Saharan Africa, where I met Bob Walker, the president, because I had recommendation from that franchise manager. Okay, Bob Walker said, I'm not in a position to give, but the franchise is given by New York office, headquarters.
You went to New York?
The next day I was in New York. Actually, that was first time to fly Concorde.
Concorde?
3 hours and 25 minutes I was in New York. Because I had a first class ticket. And with a first class ticket, you can be upgraded if you have a gold card, which I had because I had been too much flying to Belgium, to UK, and that. I was already connected, well connected internationally. So I was traveling a lot. And because of that gold card, you get, once you get, you have a gold card, you have a first class ticket, automatically you get upgraded, but you have to request. So I requested because I wanted to move fast.
Very fast.
Yes. And of course, many travelers, they didn't want to go on Concorde.
They want to experience some
They want long hours, 7, 8 hours, to enjoy there, to drink and eat food and what. Concorde, they don't give you much food. Only salad, caviar, champagnes and so forth, wines and what. They serve little, simple meals. And every time actually I went to New York, I would use a Concorde because of that. 25 minutes coming back, 3 hours, 15 minutes. And I enjoyed that, quick movement. And of course, in New York, I was welcomed very well. And I walked out with a letter of intent.
What's that?
One condition. You have the franchise, but you must provide A, B, C, D. But one requirement which was very, very crucial, a first-class bank behind you. And that I had Barclays Bank in the UK because of this trade of mine, those businesses. So that one I passed, then the rest was easy. So when they were privatizing this, what was it called, Lake Victoria Bottling Company, something like that?
Yeah, Lake Victoria Bottling Company.
Yes. I was overqualified. When I put in my bid, which I did even better than most of the bidders, because I employed again, I employed professionals, consultants, to put up that package of bidding. So when I bidded with very strong, professional. The presentation was, because this was World Bank. You are presenting to World Bank. They are the ones who were, in the beginning, it was the World Bank which was privatizing. And that's how I had Engineer Chigozi, because he was a bottler. I could not qualify to buy without experience. I didn't have experience. I had to invite a bottler. I mean, that's how I got linked with the late Dan Chigozi. Later on now, the partner is the wife, Margaret Chigozi. And these bidders, they did not know that selling Pepsi Uganda, you are selling assets only. you don't have a right to franchise. Many people, I don't know how even there were bidders from UK. Some of them even from America. But they forgot that there is a difference between a franchise
And an asset.
and an asset.
Physical.
Uganda government were owning only assets. That Second Street factory. You know, that's where the production was. So I bidded for assets. I think I put in a bid of $6.49 million. I invited also my other colleague, Chris Kaiboki. And we beat them. But of course, in the bid, even if I had lost,
You had
on
the
assets,
franchise.
because people like Madivan, they bidded, I think, 3-point-something million. And others were in 4. The best was, I think, 4-point-something. The highest bid, but we bid higher, much higher.
So even if they had taken the assets, they would still come to you.
No,
To take
I
the
would
franchise.
put a plant somewhere else. Like I'm putting now on Entebbe Road, a brand new plant. Yes, I would have. Once you have a franchise, you have a right.
So what if they had won the facility? What would they be producing? Pepsi? Certainly
Maybe Vimito or maybe Raham. But not Pepsi.
not. That's a very interesting one. Now we'll play your next song. When we return, now we get down to how you have grown these businesses and all the other businesses up to where we are today.
Which song now?
You know, I've spared you the trouble of choosing songs every 10 minutes. We will just play one song now, and the next one will be at the end of the program.
Okay.
Earlier on when we were having a private conversation.
Ragadi?
Yes. Local content again.
Yeah, local content, my friend Ragadi.
Any particular song from Ragadi or every song of his?
Any good one.
Very
because
good.
he has got also a conjunction of so many.
I know. Interesting. Ragadi, any song of his, but will now surprise you to the song that we will choose for this particular program. When we return, now we get down here with the storyline of Chairman Amos Nzeyi.
Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.
Welcome back. It's the story of Amos Nzeyi as told by himself, and we are seated in the tranquil area that he calls Pineapple Bay, beautiful place somewhere. It's about half a degree from the equator here on Lake Victoria, and you never get it better and more shiny, and he's transforming it into something else. He'll be telling us why he's gone and ventured into the business of hospitality. But of course, you can see the nexus from starting off selling eggs to Mwana Akaba to bakery to sodas, and now mainstream hospitality. So over to you now. You return, you have Pepsi, you have a bakery, all are running side by side. But you're continuing with other business. What else were you doing along the way?
Apart from those things, you know me, I never, apart from these potatoes and whatever I have told you, I have never really been a trader or, this business of going to buy and sell, no. Manufacturing. I've concentrated in manufacturing, making a finished product, and I present it
on the table
to the consumers. So by now, having the franchise from PepsiCo International, and then again having won the bid to buy the assets of Lake Victoria Bottling Company, then that led me to producing, to becoming now officially the bottle of Pepsi in Uganda.
And because you are making crowns, that's how you end up being Crown Beverages.
Yes, now crowns, Coca-Cola refused to buy from me when I became a bottler competitor. These other bottlers, they were saying that,
You're compromising.
So I had to sell my Crown Cokes to Madivan group.
Wow. So now you are mainly into manufacturing. Are there any new lines of manufacturing you're looking at now? Every day, I'm sure your mind is thinking and innovating. Where do we see you in the next 10, 5, 20, even 30 years? What do you intend to manufacture next?
We have a Millennium Project, which was on drawing board since 2018, and it was implemented in this during the COVID era. That's when we started.
Millennium Project.
Yes, Millennium Project is being built on Entebbe Road, opposite Ham. If you look at this valley where you come from, Palm Valley, off the country club.
The other side of the Bwewaja.
It is now on the other side, the right-hand side of the motorway. When you're going
of
to
the expressway.
It's quite a big complex, you know, a big facility, factory that you can't miss.
So you're going to be doing bottling?
We are now actually putting in machines.
Oh.
It is a record time that we have built that project. We are running it at super speed.
That's
or
great.
Supersonic speed.
But I'll tell you something. I mean, earlier on you talked about your life in exile. And when you talk about life in exile and your businesses, there is always normally a nexus between politics and the circumstances you're in. I have seen that the closest involvement you've had in politics is supporting your party UPM in the 80s, and then you go to exile. Then you win a rally and the politics of the day ensures that you end up in exile. Then, you know, but of course, later on, and most recently, what many people now today tend to remember is that situation that brought you when the politics and the financing around your own asset that you managed to sell together with your cohorts to National Social Security Fund. You, as a businessman, how much did that bother you? How much did that give you sleepless nights?
This Temangaro
Yes.
thing, they call it a saga. I don't know why it's Temangaro saga.
Others
You know,
even call it a
some
scandal.
people really they are bad. I've seen even some people I use it to respect on TV, saying, you know, things like Temangaro, corruption. When they talk about corruption, they bring in Temangaro. Temangaro, if you ever went there and you saw the land that I sold, in fact, even in Parliament, when I was being grilled in Parliament, I asked them, can I return your money? Can I give back your money and give me my land? They said no.
I was a young news reporter at the peak of my career.
Okay.
I was seated in that room.
Really?
Oh, yes.
You remember what I was telling them?
Absolutely.
And you know, this is the land I sold at 24 million per acre. Today in that area, 20 decimals are going for 60. And I don't know why people, I can't believe that somebody who went to school or who is knowledgeable can say that was a bad deal for NSSF.
Maybe because
I was cheated.
You were cheated.
I was cheated because I needed to rescue the bank, which I later on lost. Because when we got that 11 billion, I think mine was 9 billion. The rest went to one of Prime Minister, former Prime Minister Mbabazi. And we borrowed more money to top up on that 11 billion to invest in that small bank, National Bank of Commerce. In order Indians not sell our bank, they were going to sell it to some foreign investors. Because our bank had started doing very well in Kabale, it was financing over 100 women in agriculture, and these women were paying. We never had even
Defaulters.
5% defaulters in women. We had about 90% defaulters in men. We stopped financing men because whenever we financed them, they would go and drink Muramba.
Or marry a second wives.
Yes. But, you know, I was very happy when that bank was closed because, listen, this just Chiliabwire. When this Kanyihamba was bringing, you know, these issues that we changed the name from Kigezi Bank of Commerce to National Bank of Commerce, that's how it took us to court. While that was going on, Bank of Uganda came in, this Masembe lawyer. He said, my road, this bank is doing badly. They are going to encroach depositors' funds. They are short of 7 billion. If they don't put it, Bank of Uganda is going to close them. Just Chiyabire said, it's on record. He said, you bring 7 billion. That was on Tuesday, before Friday. Short of that, Bank B closed. He gave them green light to close it. Can you imagine? I put in my money. So that was after putting that money, Temangro money. Having borrowed again 3 billion on top of that money. Now they are closing the bank if we don't have 7 billion. Between Tuesday and Friday, can you call AGM to raise money?
Certainly not.
So you can't. And of course, I knew our shareholders. So I took up to myself. I had a friend in Kenya who lent me $3 million. It's on record. The transaction was through banks. This gentleman transferred the money. The money was wired again to Bank of Uganda, which was equivalent to 7 billion. I presented a document that I had paid the money 7 billion. 7 billion on Thursday, not even Friday. Then I was questioned by this budget, this lady budget, head of supervision department. She was more interested to know how I got the money than receiving the money. I said, you have got systems of checking money which is money laundering. Why don't you check? And even these people from World Bank, they were in that meeting. We were about 22 people in that meeting in the Bank of Uganda boardroom when she was asking those questions. I said, I have borrowed this. I have this money, 3 million. Check it out. It came from
Such and such a source.
Commercial Bank of Africa. It came to, I think it came through, was it Diamond Trust or whichever bank of these international banks. And the money is now in the Bank of Uganda. Check it.
Check the trail.
Hey, check the trail. And of course, I was supported by the World Bank people, IMF. They said, no, these questions shouldn't apply. Your concern was 7 billion, he has paid. The shareholders of National Bank of Commerce have paid what they were required to pay.
But nonetheless.
And nevertheless, on that weekend, I think it was Friday, that Friday indeed. Yeah, I saw Indians. My son called me that there are many Indians here. They have now entered the bank with soldiers. You call them Mamba?
Black Mamba.
Black Mambas. And they have come with full pickups. They have requested the manager to open safes. They are taking money, they are taking computers, they are taking everything. Now, Temangro is gone. 7 billion is gone. I'm having a loan of $3 million. Yeah? Some of the money I have not even finished paying.
Did you go to sleep that
But
night?
that gentleman, I paid him. I wrong paid him because I put my assets and I borrowed the money from banks here, local banks.
As a businessman, when you go through that kind of loss, that day when it hits you, tell me at a personal level, as Amos Nzeyi the man, did you go to sleep that night?
I slept very well.
What kind of head do you have?
Why? Why wouldn't I sleep?
I lose 50,000 I can't locate in my coat, and I scavenge the entire house. I spend.
What about that parent, that mother who loses 2 children at a go? You have lost what? Money. Money, you can always make money.
That's the attitude you carry.
Oh, yes. Money comes and goes. Money you can always catch up. By the way, in business, there are turbulences. At times you find that you don't have any penny.
Have you ever been there, Amos, in the last, say, 30 years, when you check yourself and you possibly can't even afford a drink at a particular time? You don't have money in your pocket.
Maybe it's because I really don't have sustain for drinks, but I have never failed to get money for drinks.
The one
Later
for drinks
on,
is
even
always,
for food for a long time.
the one for drinks is always
And
available.
yeah, that one I make sure I have. There are
That's
certain
amazing.
investments you don't even count among your investments. Just a fallback position. You always have to, as a good business person, you should always have a fallback position. Otherwise, you are not considered to be somebody who is a substantive person, who is what you call rich or what you call well off.
Let me get down to your personality as an individual. Do you carry grudges? In your businesses, you've had people that have stolen from you, that have shortchanged you. Temangalo, you sold your land, but people called it a saga. You've had people call you all sorts of names. Do you keep grudges?
Never. I mean, Deputy Governor Kasyate is a golfer. I play golf with him, and we laugh, we joke.
He closed your
bank.
He's
a good man, and he's got sense of humor.
But he closed your bank?
Yeah, he did.
You have no problem?
Yeah, because the budget that he got, he had to get his permission. He signed off.
So nothing.
We still, by the way, have money. Our balances are still in Bank of Uganda. I don't know why they can't even. Anyway, we still have
your
cases.
OB from church school is there, so he may need to talk to him and see what he does.
Mutevere is a different animal. When it comes to executing his duties, no sides, no relative, no friend. No friends.
Really?
Yes.
All along we thought you were favored because you'd now reach the boardroom and just say, Kwanka Shati, speak Yoruchiga. The man is different.
You know, Mutevere, even when we were buying this Lake Victoria, I think there was a point I had negotiated that I would take over the loan of East African Development Bank, which that company owed about $1.2 million. And I remember going to President Museveni, being helped by Sir Richard Kijuka, who was the Minister of Industry. He arranged that meeting with President at Entebbe. And they invited Minister of Finance. That time it was Mayanja Kanja, I think. They invited somebody from Justice. That was Mayanja Abu. No.
Abu Mayanja was an attorney general, I think, at that time.
They invited of course, Kijuka was there. Masiru Chikere privatization. So many ministers. And when we go there, President Museveni said, this Nzeyi, I was with the late Danny Chigozi. This Nzeyi here, what is the issue? They said, sir, this is a very, very good happening. That our man Nzeyi, our supporter, won the bid to buy this
Victoria bottling company.
Yes. And he won the mini bidding, and he had already a franchisee. They explained all that. This was Kijuka explaining. And you must, what do you say? First of all, Your Excellency, we are lucky to have our own indigenous Ugandan beating all these foreigners who bid to buy the company. And Mayanja Kanji said, well, I support Kijuka and Masiru Chikere. It is very good that a Ugandan takes this company, and I don't see any problem of him taking the loan, taking over the loan. After all, these people had a loan, and they were, not even serving it properly. So Amos, if he can service it properly, and if he doesn't, they will take the assets. Whom have I left out now? Mutevere now was the last. Now, Mutevere, ST, Treasury. That time he was not in Bank of Uganda.
He was a PSST.
Because we were talking 27 years ago now. And when it came to Mutevere, he held himself like this. But sir, if we let Nzeyi take over the loan when he bidded to pay cash, isn't that printing money? That was Mutevere. Now then the president, you see, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Industry, all these of you, have you heard this Mushiga man teaching you economics? That will be printing, and we are against of that. Anything else? No, when he says anything else, then you
the meeting is dismissed.
It's over. So we went and looked for money. That's when I started selling my other properties in UK and paid them.
The man could not let you have that pass.
My classmate.
Your classmate.
So that's Mutevere for you.
When you came out, did you ever share a drink again? And
Of course.
And you say, but you
And they dinner in my house and dinner in his house. That doesn't concern, business is business. And I really respect Mutevere.
There'll be something.
Yes.
Anything that gets you angry. What?
What gets me angry is to see someone doing the wrong thing.
That happens every day. So are you angry every day?
No. I try to help where I can.
When you see someone doing the wrong thing,
yes,
you get angry, then you come in to help.
Him or to assist him, to mentor him or to do what, But because I have many people who are requesting for mentors, to be mentoring. Let this see,
not open the floodgates for you.
Not to open the door. I mean, to get me more people because I've got already full plate.
Full plate. And a man of your means and the number of things you have to run around with, do you ever get time to relax?
Myself? When I'm on a golf course.
How often is that?
About 3 times a week.
Amos, if one day I choose to host you at my house, but I want on the table to place your favorite meal, what would be that meal? What's your favorite dish?
Of course, I like a variety.
Sweet potatoes, I
will not, say I'm limited to one course. No, I want some variety. But don't forget to put beans, cassava,
sweet potatoes,
and Irish potatoes.
Typical now.
The sweet potatoes, I like them when they are roasted in the oven. For my breakfast.
For your breakfast.
I use them as my bread.
Yet you have a baker. So you bake sweet potatoes instead.
But when you are somebody who is making these pots, you can't use a nice pot to cook your meal. You use a broken one.
So for you, when it comes to bread, you have to get the damages. That's what.
That's why I go for cassava.
Yes. That's interesting. And what's your favorite drink? What do you wash down that meal with?
My favorite drink, of course, number one will be Pepsi. Okay. Mountain Dew. But every now and then, of course, after a good game of golf, I don't mind a glass of champagne.
Wow.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
If I can afford it, though.
You say the money for a drink is always available.
Yes.
Again, on your personality, something intrigues all of us. Whenever people meet a rich man, oftentimes they're asking for some of your money. Box head. I'm sure you hear that every day.
Yes, you do.
How do you respond to that question?
Instead of giving them money, you give them some ideas how to make it. You guide them. You mentor them.
So you don't give
because
them
when you give them money, tomorrow they will not have it. They will
go and buy Pepsi.
Perish. It's like giving someone a what you call it a net to go and fish, than giving him fish because he'll be catching fish every day. Yes.
Chairman Nzeyi, it's been a pleasure having you on the program. But you have also had your near brushes with death, which you have survived. There must be that particular memorable one that you cannot forget. Let's not forget when you meet this OB of yours in State Research Bureau in Nakasero and he saves you by a whisker. But there is that part in exile where, in our earlier conversation, you said there was a death warrant or an arrest warrant secured for you. Take us back to that very dark time.
That was also another one. That one is unforgettable. And it didn't happen to me alone, but it was everybody that was associated with President Museveni or the struggle in the bush. Because I don't know who made that list, but the list came, or people who were wanted back here in order to get President Museveni out of bush. And I think on that list, because I was very close with immigration officers Like number 2 was my very good friend. And he's the one whom I linked with this woman who is our ambassador in Belgium.
Black.
Miriam Black. I had been playing squash at the club. It was a Saturday. And after game, I had to go for a drink at the swimming pool bar. I found my friend Joe Nuku, immigration office. First drink, second drink, said I must come. Joe up. He walked me to a distance at the swimming pool. He pulled the list. He said, you see, your name is here. You'll be picked today. Operation started today. People who are fighting Obote's government, you're among those to be picked. It was around 2 o'clock. I took a decision. I'm a rider driver first of all. No police will catch me driving these 99s of theirs. If there is a car waiting to catch me at the gate, and I squeeze, I find a way of maneuvering, I'll drive up to Namanga.
In
border,
Tanzania border.
In Tanzania border, Kenya. And I leave my car, jump out, and 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers in the bush, I find myself in Tanzania. That was number 1. In case I was being followed. I managed to maneuver in Pangani there, Jogo. I went to Intercontinental Hotel. I sent a driver, Kangeza, I remember, he passed on as well. I sent him home. He was a taxi driver who knew my family. And they used to use him. And my family knew them all taxi driver because we stayed a few days in that hotel. So this driver went to pick my whatever. I parked the car. I said, I don't want to be associated with a car which is known to me as my car. I took a taxi to the airport. Now starting shopping for any airline. The number 1 choice was Tanzania because we were friendly. Number 2 was Europe, Britain. I could not find those. The British Airways was flying at night, midnight. This is now 3 p.m. I started shopping around, even Congo. I wanted to Congo, nothing. So I landed in one going to Mauritius. Mauritius didn't have seats. I go to one going to Seychelles. Seychelles, they were lacking 1 seat. But I pleaded and begged and what? They said, okay, they give us a few minutes. Let the plane close first. They came back to me saying, the captain has agreed to give you 1 jump seat. That's where pilot seat, jump seat is along in the cockpit. I paid using American Express, which I had with me. My family was already there. We boarded the plane. I could not believe, even after 30 minutes, I could not believe that they would not call this plane back. I landed in Seychelles. I didn't know whether they required the visas. I just discovered when I was in the airport that it was part of Commonwealth. I did not. You don't need a visa when you are a member of Commonwealth. So we entered Seychelles. It was coming to Christmas. It became like a holiday. But then, of course, I had, my heart was still back in Nairobi. I was communicating, calling Mbabazi, Munda. They were saying, yeah, we are hiding here in diplomatic whatever. God willing, we might also escape. So finally, they managed to get out.
And you also managed to get out.
And of course, the first family went before. They all headed for Sweden.
Amos, on this program, I usually...
So Seychelles,
yes,
I spent there 2 weeks. Then we bought tickets and went to Britain.
And the rest, as you say, is a story you've already shared with us.
Oh, yes.
Chairman Nzeyi, It's been a pleasure having you on the program. But on this program, I always ask people as a parting shot. I look around me and we look around our country and see it's a beautiful place, this country. Nature, gifted without a doubt. So if you had given an opportunity to go somewhere and get marooned and rest, where in Uganda would that be? And why?
Is there any better place than here?
I actually want to evict you from here
Pineapple
and stay here
Bay
myself.
or Bulago Island. Yeah.
So what do you come with here to Bulago Island? What is it that makes you relax? What do you come with?
I come with nothing because I find things here.
Wow.
The weather is here.
The
And of
beautiful
course,
food.
you know, having a cruise on these waters, it relaxes, it refreshes you. You get rejuvenated. When you spend a night here or two, you become fresh, you become new. You go back when you are really, your mind is clear and settled.
Tremendous. So the listeners are anxiously waiting for you to bid them farewell with a good song, and we say kwaheri. What will be your last song, sir?
Yakwachi, Yesu yakwachi, yakwachi kukwebaza. Isn't that a good one?
It's a very beautiful song on a
Close
Sunday evening
with-
such as this one, where you say, what shall I give you, my Lord?
Yes.
It's been a pleasure having you on the
Thank you
program.
very much.
We
On that
thank you
note.
for taking a lot of your time, 2 Sundays in a row, but we know that we have benefited a lot that is invaluable.
Thank you
For
very
you, our
much.
listeners and viewers, we don't take your presence on the program for granted. You could have been doing anything and be anywhere, but you chose to be with us as we listen to this incredible life story, a true embodiment of grass to grace. If you've picked a lesson, good for you. If you've picked 100 lessons, even better for you. Myself, I've picked thousands of them.
Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM. Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.